Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here with another standard deck profile. This time we'll be covering Dragon Empire and it will be the Fauna deck. So the right line will still be the same because we are still running the new Nirvana Jheva deck, and this basically seems to still be the best right line that we can pick to actually get our pieces. So this deck I actually have been like playtesting for a bit, and I did actually make a little bit changes on it so it fits like after how I actually feel when I first build my first draft, uh, which is basically a little upgrade from my previous deck profile. So if you want to know like how the structure works, you can check my previous one, but this one will be a little bit different when I see something that is lacking, something that we can actually add into it. So here we are. So without further ado, let's quickly go into the main deck. Okay, so first thing first, of course we need to have 3 more Nirvana Jheva. The main point in here is not exactly in person right. Person right is good plus, but to me the main thing is I really need a lot of soul. When you actually like see the rest of the content of the deck, you will know we're actually lacking souls a lot. By a lot I mean really a lot. Like every single turn we have a chance to don't find enough soul to use at all. So uh, having extra souls by person writing and also give you a draw, if you front row 10k plus, that's really helpful. Okay, next is the new Farina, Bao Farina. So uh, this is our new kind of boss unit as a regard that have a few skills. Of course, like other cross OverDress units, you need to combine a trickster and a prayer dragon under it to perform the cross OverDress. And when this card is in cross OverDress states, you counterblast 2 and select one of your opponent's regards every turn. That is important skill, and that's basically why you're always running out. So because you want to clear your opponent's board for the next skill, which is when you in crossover dress states, when this card attacks the Vanguard, for each empty regard circle your opponents have, during the battle this card will get 2k plus, and if your opponents have 1 or less regards, you can card plus 1. During the battle, this unit will minus 1 drive, so it becomes a single drive, but in return, you can actually perform a drive check. So you get a drive check as long as you can pay the counterblast cost and your opponents have 1 or less regards. And like the max that you can spam is basically like 2 times. And then with Jheva also there. So what you do is you attack once, counterblast 1, gain drive, and then you restand with Jheva, attack again, and pay another counterblast to perform another drive check. That's the maximum you can do basically, at least for now, unless you pull over trigger, but we don't count that, right? Just normally, that's how it happens. But they're just that already taking you 3 counterblasts, and in order to have enough souls to clear your opponent's board, you probably will need to use other cards that also cost you counterblast. So, like, I did one time that I tried to max out everything and I pay 4 counterblasts to like get everything done. And if you really do that, you will basically lose all your resources so quick. So I don't suggest to gain 2 drive checks in a turn unless you really need that drive check to like get through attack, give enough pressure. If not, probably do it once, like before a Jheva attack, and see how it goes. Stand with Jheva and probably just end it like that. In anime, this skill looks so fancy. You just like suddenly pull a over trigger or something and just win the game. Something. It's not like that really. After I playtest so much, doing it 2 times is so like stressful. Even though if you're in a good place, then maybe it's good, but 3 to 4 card loss is really too heavy to actually make it happen. So again, I don't suggest you to do it 2 times, and you don't actually have that much soul to like clear your opponent's board that easily. Of course, after I see this kind of situation, I put some cards that helps out, but again, just don't spam it and find the right moment and use it, because when you attack the Vanguard, you can still gain the power for each empty circle your opponents have on the Riga circle, and that's sometimes it's just enough, so just be careful. And then 2 of the Bram Farina, because this is a good way to clear your opponent's board and simply to get like a 20k plus suddenly, and this guy also using a soul, so again the soul is actually very tight, so yeah, but it's still a good threat, like because what you are you didn't actually choose your opponent's regard, so unless they say they are not affected by opponent's effects, something like that, then you can just clear the whole column, so that's something good. And then 3 of the I think it's Gallonbites. Okay, so this is our prayer dragon, one of the dress resources that is for free, and you can get a power pump, so it's still good to be in the deck. And sometimes we are just lacking a little bit of power, like even we have the new Bow of Arena, that is actually quite strong, but you still need something to actually push it up when you can't clear your opponent's board, so this is a good plus. Also, it is definitely a very good support for our Garo Arena, because this is our guard restrictions, is still a very good finisher, pressure applier to your opponents while you're having high attacks. Maybe you can gain a crit from Jheva to it by pulling a crit trigger, then that can sometimes change the game flow. So I'm still running 3, because like these you can see I'm running 2-2, and this I'm running 3. That means it's important, right? And also I'm running 3 of the Beerus Farina. So this I was only running 2 of, but then I find myself actually needing 3 of for quite a few reasons. One is that it has 15k shield value, and it's not it's basically can't be affected by your opponent's cards, kind of, because your opponents can't select them by effects, so it can really dodge a lot of things while having the shield, and it also allows you to pick up a crossover dress unit that is not Beerus Farina himself. So even if you like lost this, you can still find a way to get them, because our hand size is actually quite tight, so sometimes we actually need to discard these cards. Even for Nirvana Jheva skill to pick 2 cards up for you to perform the crossover dress, and you might just use it for that so that you can survive for another turn, right? So, and compared to having a Garo Farina during like your grade 2 turn as an early rush, Beerus Farina is a better option, even though he didn't pump hard that much, but it's good to stay on the field. This one, it doesn't stay on the field that long if it gets targeted, so we want to play safe, and we want to actually having a chance to turn the tide, and this card is actually helping you to do that, because sometimes you're lacking shield, and on the field is usually just 5k intercepts, but this is a 15k intercept, so it's tough, and it actually protects you and it helps you to pick up key parts you need that can bring you to victory. Okay, and next I'm running one of the embargo. This is something that I try to run free of to actually fill in the soul, because it's in soul charge 1, right? And it gets to retire your opponent's regards, but it costs you a counter blast, which is like when I play test, when I free off, I want to fill in the soul, I use this, right? I cross overdress into him, right? That's already use a counter blast in order to gain another soul to make like 4, retire 1, and then maximize this to retire another 2 more, so I'm retiring 3 units. Then hopefully they're at 1. And then I use counter blast, that's 4 counter blasts, 4 soul blasts in order to do that, and my opponents be off the board again, and I'm just stuck there with this not being able to gain drive check anymore. And unless I get like a heal or something, I probably won't be even pull off Jheva again to withstand one of my crossover dress unit to do multiple attacks. So I actually cut this card to 1, because even though he costs counter blast and is eating a lot of resources, but that doesn't mean he's like useless, because like you don't always need to go into your Buff Arena, right? You can go into other stuff and counter blast and still get to pop something, right? Like when you want to go through with this, you don't want your opponents to intercept, because you are doing hand guide restrictions, and if intercepting helps, you rather pop that unit out and just free an extra soul just that you need, right? So he's still got his uses, but you don't actually need to run too much. That's what I feel. And then Brahmada is still a good like draw cards and do a little bit of exchange, because what you drop can still bring back with Nirvana Jheva if you are discarding Trickster, or you are discarding any Prayer Dragons, you can still reuse them. But again, this card also uses counter blast, so it's making your whole arena effect a lot harder to actually pull off so many times. But it's still important, because we need to keep using cards to like cross OverDress. You need a total of 3 cards. To bring 2 cards back, you need to discard a card. So you always need to find resources to actually like not minusing your hand size, because this you are playing this discard 1, draw 2, so it's plus minus 0. So you don't actually lose something, and in return then you can do other things that may actually help you out. So I'm still running 3, but instead of running 4 like before, I'm starting to cut this card down to 1 by 1, so I'm at 3. And there are a lot of matches that even when I run 4, I didn't see him at all, and I can still pull off to win the game, which is because I do like save resources by using Gallon Die. That's why I can actually protect myself, and also Beerus Farina is also helping me out on that. And then I'm running 2 of the Gatuya Guard. This is something that I have not thought of when I do my first draft, but then I find it very useful. Now this card skill is when it becomes the dress base, if you don't have any soul, you can soul charge 2. And that is important, because we always have a lot of ways to actually use up our souls, right? Like when this is on the field as crossover dress, you use all your souls, and you just find that one unit being annoying that you need to clear it out so that you can actually gain drive check, and you don't have soul. What can you do? If you do have like this or another crossover dress, right, you can just discard this, bring this and a trickster back, crossover dress, soul charge 2, and now you have 2 souls and actually pop something, right? So this is actually a saver to this deck. Like, this is only soul charging 1. So if you are not in odd numbers in soul, then you feel 1, then you are become even number, then you can use it, right? But if you're in even number, you +1 soul. If you don't have personal right, you still can't do anything, right? But this, you go from even number like 2 to 0, then you bring back 2, then you can do it again because it's still an even number. That's how important this card is. And even if you can't actually use him yet, he's still an AK booster, which helps you boost adjust the power line to like 23k with this, probably 28k with this. This can go to 38, so no, this is actually 41, so it doesn't matter on this side so much, but this one maybe just a little bit adjustment can actually help you out, right? Because if your opponents only have one empty circle, this is only like a 15k, but +8, you can still be 23k. So instead of a simple 10k shield or 2 5k shield, you can actually bait a 15k shield out, and you might get a drive check, right? So by having a good booster, you're still being able to give your opponent some threats. And then PG summoning the normal ones and then the auto one, so that I can have one chance to prevent a grade 4 swinging at me without losing a lot, or when my opponent's doing characteristics like facing a mirror match, then at least I can use this card to dodge that, because I'm only using the order, so I'm not directly guarding with this card to the Guardian Zone, so I can still just drop 1 with this and call it a day, right? So it's still important. But of course, if you don't have 1, you can simply just switch into the 4th. That won't matter too much, but if you can get 1 yourself, feel free to use it. And then for Trickster, because Trickster, you always don't mind to have a lot. You can simply just play 2 on your line to attack. Early game, they simply won't be targeted, so unless your opponents hit on them, then you don't even care, right? Because they go to drop zone, you can still bring that back. Yeah, and sometimes I rely on this to actually win games, so yeah. Overall, I think 4 is still quite important, because whenever you see this card, you can simply just ditch it for a right deck and reuse anyway, so won't hurt you at all. And triggers, Dragon Empire OT, just because withstand is great. 4 soul crit also helps your Mouth Arena to actually adjust some power and free the soul, which is very important. But most of the time I use it as a guard, so won't matter too much to me, but I'd rather have it there. Another 4 crits, 3 10k draws, and 4 heals. If you really want 1 more draw, you can do that. That is workable. But since my focus is still on having Jheva to withstand something and using Garo Arena to actually finish my opponents off, so I think having crits on them is quite important. That is enough of a problem to your opponent, and this is why sometimes I feel my hand size is not going like big enough, because I need to keep discarding cards. I also need to drop guards, so that's how it is. But I see like crits is more important than draw still, so that I can just apply the pressure to my opponent. Then I do have the chance to actually recover and like keep getting resources, because as long as you have like 2 cards, which one is something that you can discard, and the other one, which is a Xross OverDress resources, you can still do anything, right? So you do love a bigger hand size, but having a small hand size won't basically kill you, but like when you can't do nothing, right? because even if you just have one card in hand, when you draw for turn, you can still discard and bring a prayer dragon, bring a trickster, you can still attack with it. So I again see crit as more important, but if you do prefer to have more draws, feel free to just switch one of the normal crit into one of the 10k draw, take a shield draw, that will still help you out. Yeah, so the deck itself is still pretty straightforward. You just basically draw every turn, see what you get. If you see trickster, you can play it out to attack. You can just discard it for right deck, and then if you can start like applying early pressure, even with Beerus Varina, then you might be able to afford to discard one and pick them back up. And then just be careful on your usage of counterblast and your usage of soul. One keynote that I keep saying is that don't look at the Balfarina skill like a god power. Don't look at that. Your main thing that helps you to win, to me, is still the skill of Nirvana Jheva, allowing you to do a 4th attack. That is still something that important, and sometimes you might need to attack with 2 sides first and then go with your Nirvana Jheva, and then if you don't see like withstanding actually helps you out, like your opponent is only at 2 damage and they are both used, then sometimes I'd rather just end my turn, survive, while not giving them resources so I can survive a lot easier, and then next turn I go all out and just play Magaro Varina, play everything, do a big play, try to turn it around. I'd rather do that than just keep spamming counterblast and just think, oh, my next drive check might be a good stuff, so I just need to use all of them. I just need to clean my opponent's boss so I can do that. That's not the way. Just see it as, if the timing is right, use 2 to 3 counterblast max to do something, and try to save some resources so at least you can save 1 counterblast for Jheva to withstand for next turn. I think then you will be playing this deck a lot more comfortable, and should be easier for you to actually win games. So far, this deck I can see some upgrades, but still I think it's kind of lacking something to actually help it to stall the game. Like how Grade 4 Nirvana does is simply gain attacks, right? It can deal 1 damage to your opponent so you can catch up. It got triple drive so you can just get a lot more cards in your hand, and all your foreigner is a lot more threatening still. Like big power crit, slightly big power with retire, restand by itself and gain a lot of power. That Maha the foreigner deck I think is still kind of better than this. I am not sure if we are actually getting more cross overdress support, or it will switch into another Nirvana with another kind of dress skill. But so far that's what we have, right? And it's still a good upgrade. It's still fancy. That you get to do some drive check and like kind of burning your opponent's board and try to win there. But this deck still lacks a little bit thing to actually push it up to be a meta. But if you like enjoy playing the new cards, enjoy testing new stuff, then I think this deck is still a choice for you to kind of make a start, even though it's not cheap, to be honest, because we do have a lot of triple rares and double rares. But it's a good deck to actually try out. But also a good deck to train your resource management for real, because some other decks you can just spam resources and you can get a high return, but this you might get a higher return, but that only lasts for one turn, and then you will suffer if you don't control your resources carefully. So do be careful on that, and you should be good to go. Yeah. So that's it for this deck profile. Thanks for watching, guys. And subscribe to my channel for more deck profiles, deck fights, and also unboxings. Like this video if you actually like this deck, like this idea. Comments down below if you have any kind of questions or anything that you might think of that might help to improve this deck. Feel free to let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.